So, ratings are in the toilet, the new face of the company continues to get booed, and Joey Ryan's penis is more popular than their current World Heavyweight Champion. Where did it all go wrong for the WWE? I am the Big Daddy D, and just like last year, I'm going to go through exactly where the WWE went wrong over the last 12 months. Poor booking in the Rumble for the second year in a row. You would have thought that they'd learnt their lesson from last year, but apparently not. Once Daniel Bryan was eliminated from the Rumble this year in his big comeback match from injury, the fans bent over and took a huge shit all over this match. It was Bray Wyatt that eliminated Bryan, and if he'd had gone on to completely dominate the rest of the Rumble with some help from his fellow family members, this could have been served to make Wyatt look like a threatening force. But this didn't happen. Instead, it was Big Show and Kane that were booked to completely dominate the match, which, quite frankly, isn't something that should be happening in 2015. They eliminated with ease the likes of fan favourites Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, along with the aforementioned Wyatts. Eventual winner Roman Reigns was soundly booed, not just because that it was obvious that he was now the chosen one following Bryan's early departure, but also because of how bloody awful the match was booked. Put it this way, when the fans are cheering for Rusev, and even the endorsement of The Rock can't get the fans to stop booing Reigns, you know that you've royally fucked up somewhere. WWE really need to sort their shit out to avoid the same thing happening again next year. Wasting Damien Mizdow. All I can say is that Damien Sandow should be a big star of the future. I've always enjoyed his heel character and his catchphrase of, "You're welcome." And this year he took a gimmick that was complete chicken shit and turned it into chicken salad. Sandow had been given the gimmick when he imitated people on a weekly basis. Not just WWE superstars like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon, but also other well-known people like LeBron James, Bruce Springsteen, Abraham Lincoln, Sherlock Holmes and even Magneto. This would lead to The Miz hiring Sandow to be his stunt double, and thus the Damien Mizdow character was born. To be honest, Mizdow was more of a mime artist than a stunt double, but Mizdow's antics in and out of the ring soon made him one of the highlights of the show, and he quickly became popular with live audiences, who would often boo Miz during matches and chant, "We want Mizdow." The Miz would soon revel in the role as well, as he would soon get jealous of the attention his stunt double was getting, and would begin to treat him badly as the weeks went on. By the time we got to WrestleMania, the duo was at breaking point. At the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Mizdow finally had enough and eliminated Miz from the match. A glorious face turn had been achieved, and a new superstar had been born in the eyes of the fans. To be honest, they could have solidified this even more by having Mizdow win the Battle Royal, because, really, what does the Big Show have to gain from winning this? Come on, guys. Miz and Mizdow then briefly feuded over the rights to the Miz brand, which Miz won following interference from Summer Rae, his co-star in the Marine 4. Summer Rae, by the way, seems to be the death blow to quite a few storylines this year, as we'll see in a moment. Considering that Miz these days now seems to spend more time as an interviewer, rather than as a wrestler, one has to wonder, was that really the right decision? As a result of the loss, Mizdow returned to his former name, Damien Sandow, and nothing much followed after that. The breakup between Miz and Mizdow received massive criticism, with critics denouncing WWE creative for poor storyline writing, which made Sandow look like a fool post-WrestleMania, and diminishing the feud to nothing more than an afterthought. Mike Johnson of Pro Wrestling Insider stated in June 2015 that, "I think it was just a case of someone in the company seeing Sandow as a comedy character and nothing more. The audience tried to tell them that they wanted to see him in a better role, but were ignored." Why exactly, then, I wonder, are WWE forcing guys like Roman Reigns down our throats and telling us, "You need to cheer for this guy," whilst completely ignoring the superstars that are getting cheered, and in some cases punishing them for it? Sandow would go back to the imitation gimmick, briefly imitating Macho Man Randy Savage, alongside Curtis Axel as Axelmania, before that gimmick was shelved due to real-life controversies that were beyond the control of Damien or Curtis. Following this gimmick being shelved, Sandow has been nowhere to be seen. After spending months on the story, getting a really good crowd reaction, and getting to the obvious conclusion, WWE still managed somehow to completely botch Damien Sandow. They could have created a fresh mid-card babyface, but instead they achieved nothing. King of the Ring. Another great opportunity to create a new star but led to nothing was the return of the King of the Ring tournament, held as an exclusive show on the WWE Network. You would have thought that following the jump from NXT to the main roster, that Adrian Neville would be the one to win the tourney. Anyway, the entire thing was done and dusted over, 2 nights? When something like this could have easily have carried on for a few weeks. And in the end, Bad News Barrett defeated Neville in the finals to become king. This could, and should, have been a launch pad for Barrett to break out of the mid-card and become a main eventer. Instead, becoming king completely killed off the bad news gimmick that had previously gotten him over. Gone were the flashy suits, the podium, and the gavel. Now he had to come to the ring wearing a silly cape and crown, which made him look ridiculous. From there, he immediately entered into a pointless feud with R-Truth after he got his crown stolen. A feud that degraded week after week after week. If WWE want to bring back the King of the Ring tourney as an annual event, that's fine. But would it really hurt for them to treat the tourney, and the winner of said tourney, with a little respect? Because if WWE don't give a toss about it, why should we? And if that's the case, why bring it back in the first place? The booking of the IC title. Last year, one of my main criticisms was the poor handling of the 2 secondary titles in the WWE, the Intercontinental title and the United States title. I even called for the 2 belts to be unified. Happily, the US title has been restored to provenance this year, thanks mainly in part to John Cena, of all people, who have given us some of the best matches of the year over this title. Sadly, the same cannot be said for the IC title. When King Barrett won the belt for a 5th time, you could tell that nothing was going to come out of it. And if getting his crown stolen wasn't enough, Barrett also had his IC title stolen as well, once again by R-Truth. What exactly is WWE trying to say about R-Truth's character here? That he's a thief that steals other people's gold? The IC title then continued to get stolen by other superstars, which then just looked ridiculous when it was going from person to person and someone was having to steal a belt rather than actually win it. All this mess came to a head at the 7-man ladder match at WrestleMania, which on paper could have ended up being an absolute clusterfuck, but it actually turned out to be very entertaining. Unfortunately, the winner of that match, Daniel Bryan, once again had to vacate a title due to injury, which led to a new champion being crowned at Elimination Chamber, in a match that was a complete clusterfuck. Since then, the belt has gone from Kevin Owens to Dean Ambrose, and it looks like the two are going to continue to feud over the title. So there is hope that finally the IC belt can be brought back to provenance again in the WWE. But based on how badly the booking has been over this year and last for the title, I don't hold out much hope. That's nothing against Owens or Ambrose, but all down to the incompetent booking. To be honest, a year later, I still call in favour of having the US and United States title unified. The Rusev, Lana, Dolph, Summer angle. Oh dear. After Rusev's undefeated streak came to an end at WrestleMania, courtesy of John Cena, not only did he lose his United States title, but also his manager, Lana, shortly afterwards. Still, he was the runner-up to Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble, and he did have an interesting altercation with The Rock this year as well. So surely he was going to continue being a major player on the roster, right? Right? Wrong. Rusev paired up with Summer Rae. Never a good thing in a storyline, whilst Lana ended up in the arms of Dolph Ziggler. This 4-way love story benefited absolutely nobody and made all 4 of them look ridiculous on a weekly basis. Even when one of the 4 participants in the angle was off television due to injury, Ziggler was off due to injury, Lana at one point was off due to injury. Even Rusev at one point was off due to injury. Even with one of the major players off television due to being injured, the feud still kept going on and on and on. And in the end, the storyline didn't even end properly, as news of Rusev and Lana's real-life engagement came out, leading to WWE hitting the panic button and quickly reuniting them, thereby undoing several months' worth of build for the super athlete before the year was even done. Rusev, who previously looked like a main eventer in the making, now just looks like another mid-carder. And being one of Sheamus's buddies in the League of Nations probably won't do him any favours either, especially when you consider that it was Sheamus that Rusev beat for the United States title in the first place. The Divas Revolution. All I can say is, thank God the Bella Twins feud came to an end. Indeed, this was one of the worst angles that the WWE ran last year, and I covered this in length in last year's video of where the WWE went wrong in 2014. It was so bad that the WWE don't even acknowledge it, and have moved on as if nothing happened, which is probably just for the best. Meanwhile, the women's division in NXT had been completely outclassing anything that the Divas division was offering on the main roster. So Stephanie McMahon decided to begin a Divas Revolution and bring over Charlotte, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks over to the main roster on the same evening. The problem was, despite Michael Cole telling us over and over again that this was a Divas Revolution, it wasn't. It really wasn't. The only real character trait that the women in the WWE have ever shown is either bitchy or crazy. Has this changed in the slightest? No, not really. The only thing that's changed was that this trait has now been expanded to become crazy and bitchy, but in a team of 3. Hardly what you'd call a revolution. Worse still, the departure of 3 of NXT's best female wrestlers has now led to poor Bayley trying to get decent matches out of the likes of Emma, Dana Brooke, and, Eva Marie. All this wouldn't be so bad if the 3 women to jump to NXT had made a big impact, but they haven't. Sasha and Becky have just been lost in the mix of these 3 women teams, and Charlotte has been caught up in a really awkward storyline with Paige that had the lazy-ass writing staff rely on the real-life death of Charlotte's brother, Reed, to make it seem as if there was more on the line. By the time we got to the end of the feud, it was unclear as to who was the babyface and who was the heel. Oh, and by the way, it was obvious that Nikki Bella was going to hold on to that Divas title until she'd beaten AJ Lee's record, because God knows the WWE don't ever want to refer to her again. Indeed, Paige said it best when she rightfully pointed out, there is no Divas Revolution. No wonder she started getting cheered despite being a heel. The treatment of Sting. Oh boy, did they ever mess this up. When Sting showed up in the WWE at last year's Survivor Series, it was one hell of a moment. Surely now it would only be a matter of time before we would get that elusive Sting vs Undertaker dream match that wrestling fans had wanted to see for so long. Well, no. What we got instead was Vince McMahon striking the final blow to the already rotting corpse of World Championship Wrestling by having Sting lose to his son-in-law Triple H at WrestleMania. Triple H then went back to being an authority figure, and Sting disappeared altogether for a few months, before showing up again at Night of Champions to have a championship match against Seth Rollins, despite not winning a single match in the company. What exactly did Sting losing to Triple H achieve? Nothing. Why have DX and the NWO get involved in the match? No idea. Why did this become about WCW versus WWE again? No idea. To make matters worse, Sting was badly injured in his match against Seth Rollins, and this could now very well be his last match. And just when you thought that WWE's treatment of Goldberg was bad enough. The Wyatts. The addition of a 4th member to the Wyatt family have not done this group any favours whatsoever. They've lost to everybody and anybody. All 4 of them were completely flattened by Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, and then by Undertaker and Kane. This group might just be beyond saving at the moment, and it doesn't really help that Wyatt is essentially doing the same nonsensical promo every week. It's a shame because Bray could have had a really strong showing at the Rumble this year. He genuinely could have given The Undertaker a run for his money this year. He genuinely could have been a main eventer this year. But I guess that isn't going to happen anytime soon. Because you know who is in the main event? Kane in main events. It's 2015 and Kane is still in your main event of the evening. May I ask why? We've mentioned Kane a number of times in this video already. We can't really avoid it, to be honest. Kane hasn't really provided much of a threat of an active wrestler since he put the shirt and tie on and became an on-scene authority figure in late 2013. So why, oh why, was he such a big part of a WWE World Heavyweight Championship feud this year? His constant bickering with Seth Rollins just dragged and dragged, and the only reason it came to an end was because Rollins suffered an injury whilst wrestling on a house show, against Kane of all people. Adding to this, they were all four members of the Wyatt family getting completely destroyed by the reformation of the Brothers of Destruction, and there was his dominant performance in the Royal Rumble, a whopping 18 years after his debut. Really, it is little wonder that the WWE is struggling to create new stars when they keep relying on someone who has been with the company since the Attitude Era. And that's that for my video on what the WWE went wrong and did wrong in 2015. Do you have anything further to add to that? If so, leave your comments in the little box below, and I'll see you again in the new year, where we'll take a look at our predictions for 2016. Until next time, this is the Big Daddy D, signing off.